After several weeks, Granblue has finally reached out to us with a little bit of news. This post came to us on the 14th of August saying that we hope that everybody's been enjoying Granblue Fantasy Relink Endless Ragnarok. Our team is currently hard at work reviewing known issues and making adjustments to character gameplay, MSP gain, and game balance. We apologize that the updates have taken longer than anticipated, and we appreciate your patience as we strive to improve the experience with everyone. Thank you for bearing with us. This tweet came to us and we had a field day thinking about what this could mean and maybe a lot of feedback that people have been putting in, things that they think are too strong, things that they think are too weak. There's a lot to talk about. So today I wanted to talk about a few of the things that I would like to see in the upcoming patch. Number one, Catalina. She is easily the most underwhelming character that we have on the entire roster, and while she can still clear all of the content, it doesn't feel very good to play when so many other characters could just do what she does better. Gallanza's Turbine. Turbine was fun at first. It's cool to spin to win, but it is arguably weaker than doing your flashpoint. Doesn't feel as cool as doing a flashpoint, and the spin distance is really low. Changes I would like to see if you were to change Gallanza, right, is when he's twirling, just make him, like, when he's basically able to spin and then he goes like, ooh, right? So it would be cool if you could just spin and then move all around the boss. Like, imagine if you could just dance around the guy while you're spinning easily. That would be so cool. Or to close the gap when the boss jumps away, because you're punished for not doing your turbine finishers. And at that point, just play Flashpoint, right? Just play Flashpoint, play aerial Flashpoint. It's not a big deal. Lancelot, this guy's got a million actions per minute. Gonna make your hands hurt really bad. It's actually a reason I don't like playing him anymore. Is I'll be playing him, and effectively, this is how you play, right? It's just gap close, dodge. It hurts, and then afterwards you're like, ow, man, and your hand just gets so stiff, right? I'm not as young as I used to be, and maybe it's okay for you, but you got to be careful, right? You can injure your hands with characters that have incredibly high actions per minute, and the trade-off is really low. Lancelot's damage is not the highest. He's not the superstar that him and Sandy were before the DLC, right? And Sandy also needs work. While we're touching on that, right? Lancelot's actions per minute are way too high. If you just made square a repeatable button, or whatever your basic input is, if you just made that a repeatable basic attack for Lance, I think you'd free up so much, man. His attack range, there are a number of times I'm up against the boss and it'll be like, ba, 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 and you notice I'm not quite hitting, so I'm not doing damage, and then I dodge a tiny bit and it's like, oh, impact. It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. So Lancelot's going up against Bahamut, and it effectively looks like this, right? It effectively looks like you got your little Lancelot, you got your Bahamut, who's huge, you should be able to hit him, right? He's got like the size of a football field, and it's like, ba, 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 ba. How is this missing? How is this? And now my avalanche stacks just dropped, and my damage goes back to a reset of 0? That's terrible. I would change Lancelot. I would give him a little bit more reach. He doesn't need a lot. I don't think it would break the character, just to make him have a little bit longer. He's got these daggers, but extend it just a little bit, okay? Because the output to effort ratio that Lancelot has right now sucks. Like, just, it is what it is. It sucks. I love Lancelot. One of my favorites. Playing with Glaciate on bosses that are susceptible to being frozen. Peak. Being able to close your gaps and do a ton of damage when you have your avalanche stacks up and you're getting your good resets. If you want to go that route, that's great. The other styles feel painful. All three of his styles are punished simply for existing. Unlike Fediel, who just does a ton of damage. And you also have Percival, who has Roto Bugs. Again, big surprise, right? You give him Roto Warble and you bring him back from base game and it's like, oh, it's crazy, right? So maybe Fediel gets nerfed a little bit, and maybe a few of the issues like the Roto Bug gets changed and corrected as well. Maybe Gallanza's tech, where he can SBA at 10 stacks or when transforming, also gets nerfed. Or, like, it might get fixed, it might get removed. Maybe it's intentional. If it's intentional, that would be cool if Cygames put that out and made it a core mechanic of Gallanza. Like, why don't you just let him do that, but reduce his damage proportionate to the amount of SBA gauge you used. So you have 100% gauge. That is when it drops to 80, you use the SBA. That's your maximum efficacy of your damage. Make everything else scale. So if he goes into his deathmatch finale and he uses SBA at like 30 gauge, right? Just make it do less damage, right? That's less than half at that point, right? Just make it do less damage. I think that would be fine. I think that would actually, it would be really cool, because then you could play around it and people wouldn't feel scummy for doing it, and you wouldn't have people in online lobbies being like, this guy's a cheater, that guy's cheating the game, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, it's just tech that they found out, and it hasn't been patched out of the game yet, so like, are you really going to be mad? Can be if you want to, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. So that's just a couple of characters I would like to see changed, some corrections made. Lancelot, man, I want to like Lancelot so bad, and I enjoy playing him every once in a while, right? Flight over Fight got buffed and nerfed at the same time. So pre-Endless Ragnarok, Flight over Fight reduced your attack stat by half, and then you could rebuff it back up. Stamina and Tyranny and all this other good stuff, right? Which all these sigils, we'll get into that in a minute. You now have Flight over Fight that you dodge, and it has to be your R2 input or whatever the associated button is. When you R2 and you do a perfect dodge, you will get a debuff, reducing your damage by 50%. Lancelot's awesome because his Warble, his triangle dash, can also perfect guard, but it will not trigger Flight over Fight. This was stupid powerful before Endless Ragnarok. It was so strong because he was just invincible. He's like, ba 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 ba, just flashing all over the place, right? Not ever getting hit. Felt like Bo in Monster Hunter Wilds mixed with a little bit of Dual Blades, honestly. The changes made it so that way you can still Warble, and you could bring Flight over Fight if you're scared on like Defy Infinity Lucilius, for example. You may want to Warble when you're comfortable, but R2 if you're not. So now you get the perfect dodge, and you get a damage down for a couple of seconds, but it's less of a damage loss than dropping your avalanche stacks, like, right? But with these changes, there were a number of characters who can make a big advantage of this. They could take advantage of the debuff giving you 50% damage down on a dot class, like if you were to play Twayun's dot build, which we just covered recently, right? If you play that build, or you play like Eugen or something, they're not going to suffer the penalty as bad as they would have before. And some other characters are still not really going to want to use Flight over Fight, but of course, if you're learning, doing less damage is better than doing no damage if you're dead, right? So it can help you out a lot. And especially when you're fighting dragons and your critical gauge starts at like just a tiny bit and you need just a little more. No big deal. But we are talking about current changes to character gameplay and game balance. I did make a couple of notes. You'll see me turning and double checking the notes as well as the tweet that I have up on my other monitor now. So regarding game balance and character gameplay, these are some changes that I would make. In addition to balance and MSP gain, they want to make some changes to MSP, but I would change some drops as well. Namely, Grand Ruthenium 1 and 2. The drop rates are so low when you're running content on those specifically. There are other things I would buff too, like Calamitous Hands from Angra Mainyu. They reduced the amount of times you have to kill the boss, but not really, because you still need to get multiple per awakening as you're transcending your weapons. So in the end, you're going to end up running it more times than you need to. So I would maybe buff that just a little bit or something. I don't know. You can get your Grand Rutheniums and stuff. You could do solo Conflux, but not everybody wants to play solo, right? Like if I'm playing an online game, I'm like, okay, I got my player 1, I got my player 2, let's go farm some content, right? And it's like, oh, we're going to do Conflux, so let's separate for a little bit. Doesn't make sense. Right? Doesn't make sense. I don't think so anyways. So it would be cool if they made it so that way the rates that you drop when you're doing online multiplayer was a little bit higher, because there's a few things happening here, right? We are enticed to AFK, right? We're enticed to do AFKing, and you run your missions, and there are people that are using mods to get around doing the 10 mission cap, and they're using mods to just directly put their drops into the game, because you're going to be running your power bill up, you're going to be running your game longer than you want to by grinding out MSP the way it is now. And yes, there are several quests that are pretty good for MSP, but really, like, why are you going to run the game? Why are you going to run the game for like 20 hours a day? Sorry, I'm all over the place, right? Why are you going to run your game for so long when there are people who are like, oh, I have a mod that just maxes your MSP so you can just max all your characters. I don't personally like to mod my game. There are a lot of people who talk about it, and while I'm like, yeah, I don't condone that, I'm not going to silence people from talking about it because it's a legitimate concern, right? If there are more people who are like, yeah, I'd rather cheat to get my stuff, then the system is flawed, right? And I love this game. I love Granblue Fantasy Relink. There's a reason they call it Grindblue. And so many people are like, yeah, dude, I just cheated in my sigils. I just cheated in max MSP. It saved me so many hours, so much time, and I feel for them, right? Not everybody has infinite hours in the day to play. Not everybody could just have their consoles running all the time. So, MSP changes, I think this is good. They should increase the rate, don't decrease any. honestly, across the board. Give us more MSP across the board, right? You're doing these big missions like at the end of Chaos and Chaos Plus, right? You have these guys that are like 4 bosses, right? Increase the rate. It's like 5,000 MSP right now. That's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. Increase that, because that's how you're going to be going back to get some of your old materials. You could also increase MSP specifically on the quests that are granting you items that help you transcend your gear, because it'll kind of like, it'll lead the player into farming that so that they get the materials they need to transcend their stuff. I don't really think trying to get people to just run a plethora of quests is the answer, because players are already like valuing their time, and if they can get to their bis, right? Now they're working with synthesis and stuff. It helps them grind end game better, right? This game is not really about the journey. I don't think the game's more about like, okay, I reached the end. Now let me min max. Now let me have some fun. Now let me try true solos, which like you could true solo the world right now, but you can't true solo the other Defy Infinities unless you're like using a character that's got a particular like mechanic you can get around. Like Fediel, I think, can probably solo one of them. I think maybe she could do Versa, but it's like, you know, for the most part, I like those challenges, but we have a 13-minute time limit. It's fair for 4-player. It's fair for having your AI with you, but it's not particularly fair if you want it to true solo, but I get it. I'm a very niche, very small percentage of things I like to do. But we're talking about MSP right now. Defy Infinity needs a buff. The Chaos Plus bosses need a buff. They're like 7,000 MSP. Right now, you're running 4 Dragons of the Apocalypse, because you're going to farm that to get your Stout Heart summon from your Red Dragon. You're going to farm that to get your natural defenses from your Green Dragon. There's some other good drops in there as well. And you're getting a bunch of summons you could trade in for MSP, and you're getting MSP from the quest itself. It's like 70k or something. But you could farm Slimes if you wanted to just AFK a little bit. You wanted to have good Slimes. The music's a bop. You could also farm Lucilius. Lucilius is currently the go-to. The Chaos plus Lucilius, significantly easier than doing 0 back in the day, significantly easier than doing Defy Infinity Lucy. And you're able to trade in your blooms for MSP. When they say MSP gain changes, I really hope they do not nerf this. If anything, they should allow more items to be traded in for MSP, because, or for Azurite Splendor specifically. I think that would be so good, right? Right now, though, you're encouraged and enticed to farm Chaos plus Lucy, because you're getting a ton of MSP, can drop the summons that can give you 100%, and these summons are a problem. We need to talk about Defy Infinity, because as it stands, you get a little bit of a higher rate to get the special summons from Defy Infinity. I don't think it's enough. I enjoy a grind as much as anybody else. I don't know if you all will agree or disagree with this. Please let me know in the comments of the video. I believe it would be in everyone's best interest if you dropped a boss summon, so it would be like, you know, Roland, Beelzebub. You're going to drop Lucilius. You're going to drop a Lilith and Wee Pincer from the Zegolith Dragon. Those should just be 100% drop rate for one of the 2 summon slots, if not both of the slots. Why not? You're farming Defy Infinity. Why is the drop table so similar to the Chaos Plus? And you're not even guaranteed to get what you want anyways. I have over 60 kills of some of the fights, over 50 of the others, and I've seen like 300%, and 2 of them were SBA cap. Worthless. Absolutely worthless to me. Why not just make the summons 100% drop rate? Because then it makes grinding for the 100% stats a little bit more palatable, right? You might get the Spartan Echo, but it might only have a 50%. You might get the 100%, and it's got like Aegis level 11, which my 80% is an Aegis 11, so it's like, come on, man. I'm going to use it, but it's not Biss, and who knows if I'll ever actually see a god roll. So then people, after they do like 80 kills, are like, you know what, I'm just going to cheat this in, because there's no pity system, there's no synthesis for summons. I'm not being rewarded for my time. I'm being disrespected for my time. And there are people who are just AFK farming Chaos plus offline or cheating them in anyways, so I might as well do that too. I'm not saying me, I'm just creating a scenario. This leads to somewhat of a toxic mindset, because now when somebody does get a 100% summon, I've seen people getting kicked from lobbies, and people who aren't trusted, where they're like, yeah, you cheated that. And it's like, I actually got it genuinely. It's like, if somebody's not streaming and they're not taking a picture with their phone, it's like, oh, okay, I gotta take this picture real quick because I gotta prove that I got this naturally, right? And it's like, oh man, when you have that state, it's so hard to trust. And Monster Hunter Rise suffered from this, right? A lot of people were just like, yeah, I'm just going to cheat in the best stuff. And I'm going to do my speed runs because I want to do speed runs, but it's not worth it to spend 900 hours trying to get a single decoration or charm or talisman that is like what I want. So let me just do this and play the game, right? And I understand. I understand where they're coming from. So I really feel like, I really feel like here, in this example, Cygames has the potential to learn from others' past mistakes and change things for the better in a really good way. You've got a great game. I love playing it. We've done so much content with the science and math and deep diving into things and just helping people with builds and just enjoying killing stuff. It gives me that itch. It's like Granblue Fantasy Relink to me is like Monster Hunter and Final Fantasy had a baby. And that's all three franchises just coming into one special creation. Makes me happy. I enjoy playing the game. There's a couple things we would change. Overall, game's pretty balanced, but some things that should change. And I haven't even outlined everything. There are plenty of other things people could touch upon. I know people want new characters. I know we've had confirmation of new skins, so I'm really excited about the skins. I'm really excited for potentially new quests. And I think one thing that is really sought after is people really want, so we want Spartan Echo and Berserker Echo and War Elemental on our summons. Those can be plus sigils that have a secondary effect, but of course you're not going to get like Fatebreaker or Celestial Ventus, like these core stats you're not going to have as a secondary. These are things that I would maybe recommend. You know, this is like an end game grind, right? But there's Stout Heart, there is Crab Vestment Returns, there are Natural Defenses. These are all sigils that take up both slots. They do not have a plus variance, so when you're using them, you're making a trade cost. Also, Potent Greens. We have a Potent Green supplementary from a quest, but not everybody knows that, and they might sell it or trade it off, and now they don't have a way to get it again. And your MSP sigils, like I accidentally got rid of mine thinking I could farm them, and you can't. Why does no quest drop these? Why don't the slime quest drop these? It doesn't make sense to me. There are certain decisions where it's like, okay, why not just change these? There are a lot of really old sigils like Combo Booster and Charged Attack and stuff that say that they increase damage dealt, but they don't. They increase damage dealt up to the damage cap, and then we have new things like Aqua, we have Ventus, and we have the Mastery trait that increases your damage on weak foes, so when you're running War Elemental, you're going to get a bonus there, and they go past damage cap. Why not use terminology where it says like, you know, increases damage dealt by blah, blah, blah %, and then just add a line that says like, this does not break damage cap. Or add a line for the new ones that say, breaks damage cap by 10% or something, you know? So if you're gonna have like increased damage by 10% on Ventus, you could just say like breaks damage cap by 10%. Something like that. I think that would be great. It would go so far. There's a number of things where it's just like super not clear, right? So I would maybe change those just a little bit. We circle back to like sigils and summons. So you want to get these one-drop summons, like Crab Vestment can come on a summon. You can get Stout Heart on a summon. You cannot get a Mortal Shell on a summon, and you cannot get like Sumo Force on a summon, for example. What if we created a Defy Infinity difficulty quest, or you put something into the next Conflux? And I've already come up with an idea, right? I've got it for you. So here is my suggestion. Jumbo Crabs title rematch. Give us an opportunity to farm Crab Vestment as a summon, right? Hear me out. Instead of just doing Zegolith, you could do Crab Vestment here, and maybe as a sigil, you can add Stout Heart as a plus, or Sumo Force as a plus sigil. That would be so cool, because they're sort of niche. Like a lot of people want Stout Heart, but Sumo Force, it's like for dots and stuff. But imagine if you had a plus sigil that scales with this quest, and like the 5 completions for the normal, and now you allow dots a little bit more freedom. Think about it. This would be, I know they're niche, but like Stout Heart has been so valuable. A lot of immortal builds, and just generally people are running it a lot now because they have the space. So like, why not incentivize people for the next progression step to farm these Stout Heart pluses to help advance their build to the next level, because everybody's already going to be using it on a summon anyways. But now you add it as a plus sigil, and now they can have a different summon, right? So maybe you add in a Crab Vestment from this guy, and maybe you can get up to 100% on normal cap or skill cap, or you can get attack up higher or HP up higher. You could even make the HP higher drop as part of the pool. Just something to give us to fight that I think people would want, right? You give us a Defy Infinity Jumbo Crab, his title rematch. We already took the belt from this crab. Now they're coming back for revenge. And you could also go a different route, right? So there's even more potential if you wanted to take a Mortal Shell and you wanted to make that a summon. Give us a Darkweed Pincer as a boss, right, in the next installment of the Conflux. And here you go, ready? The Conflux Crustacean Championship! And check it out. You get in there and you encounter a Dark Crab. Kind of like when you're fighting the Albacore in a random event, except in this battle, the crab is going to start in Bloodthirst, and you have to knock him out of Bloodthirst, and then they'll have a longer duration of stun that you can knock him out of the ring. And you could even give them a special title. If you do this, you get Hell in a Shell. The writing's on the wall. It's all right. You're welcome. Just do it. Just do it. Watch how many people start running Conflux if you do this, right? You give an Immortal Shell plus, like as a summon, people will farm it. People will farm it. It's so good. It's such a valuable sigil. But the argument people are having right now is they're having trouble justifying taking out 2 sigil spots when you only have 1, especially since you're losing the attack up 10% when a boss is in overdrive, which is so frequently in so many Infinity quests. So maybe you're going to balance and change the way the buffs and debuffs work on overdrive, or just do this. Look, you're welcome. You've already got the baseline. You already know it's what the people want. Give them what the people want. You know, it's just one of the few things that I was thinking about. But like, you have Defy Infinity quests right now, and Lucy's, immune to debuffs, which is cool, and Beelzebub and the World. They all have these gimmicks that are so cool. And then you have Bahamut Versa. Takes more damage from supplementary, but it's downtime simulator. It's such a boring fight. I don't like it. And if you want Lilith, you're farming the Infinity version, not the Chaos Plus Plus version. It does not make sense that Lilith is not a higher drop rate, and it does not make sense since the fight's already so tedious. Why am I going to do it? Why am I going to do it? It doesn't make sense, The Chaos Plus Plus versions need a buff to their MSP. They're very farmable right now. People are running them when they don't feel ready for Defy Infinity, and it respects their time more. Defy Infinity I like running. Nice and hard, good challenge, people want to run it, but not everybody's like me. Not everybody wants the challenge, and not everybody feels like they want to spend the time doing these fights, and then they go into online missions and maybe they fail. Maybe they're held back by their team, or maybe they're holding back their team because they're not quite ready. But they try and then fail, and it's like, well, I'm going to go back to Chaos Plus Plus, and ooh, look, the rewards are better for me, so I'm just going to stay here. So just a couple of things. I know I've been yapping for a long time. Really, I only left like 2 more notes, so let's touch upon it. I have a game balance note here that says, like, I really want to see when players are jumping from base game into Chaos for the DLC and Endless Ragnarok. I was fine. I was Biss. I was ready. Not everybody's going to be ready. They might only have 1 character ready anyways because they're new and they're not building up a whole AI team. So maybe ease the burden jumping into that first, like, Song and Siete fight. Just make the flow a little bit better, or make sigils drop a little bit easier. I know, go run the Conflux, it's going to get them up there, but they're spending like 10 to 20 minutes in a fight jumping into Chaos at first, and they're like, oh, what's wrong? What is happening? Is my character weak? Did I pick the wrong character? And it's like, no, just a lot of the sigils and stuff that you get beforehand are booty slop, and a lot of the skills are useless, right? And it doesn't set them up for success the way I feel like it could. And your CPU optimization, it's not the best. Take Defy Lucilius, for example, right? Your AI is going to attack the swords at the start when he's casting the end, and you might not break the end. And then you're like, well, I don't want to play online with others. I want to play this like an offline game. Now I need to work on my AI, and they're not quite ready, and they're not able to break, but they're attacking the swords, so now I need to overcompensate, and I need even more stun than I thought I needed before to be able to do this. Or they're attacking the wrong cards, or they're attacking the wrong dragons over in, Hexa, and the cards aren't quite stacked the way I'd like them to be. And it's like, it would be cool if they optimize these things. I don't know if they will, but like, a lot of this is like depreciated content, except for the Defy Infinity, so maybe things will change. And maybe you could change, again, the increased damage dealt versus like breaks damage cap, doesn't break damage cap. Improved healing does not specify that it does not affect regen and drain and divergence. It affects skills, but there's no way to know that for sure, so it's like, what's going on here? And with the ability to go up to basically 1,000,000 health, if you're really good with your health pluses, you're getting over 800k. We have really good investment into divergence and regen, but our potions aren't that great. So maybe you can even introduce a new sigil that's like a potion booster, right? We already have potent greens that's really good, but maybe you could do one that, you know, enhances our levels. Maybe potent greens goes up to level 45. And if it goes up to 45, maybe it increases the efficacy of the potions, right? Like maybe it doubles their value or something. I think, you know, just a few ideas, right? Just a few ideas. That's all I really want to touch upon. You know, it's just a lighthearted video. I didn't want to like make it super crazy. You know, I did this all in one shot, so I'm really proud of myself. I had a good brain day, and I don't think I've stuttered or stammered over my words too much. So really cool. Thank you guys for hanging out. We have the Terminus Tank Vein coming up soon. We also have our Beginner's Guide to Endless Ragnarok coming up soon. We finished the Twain, we finished the Ferry, we finished a lot of different stuff. Immortal Gallanza is going to see some changes. I recently got a couple of good summons. I finally got my first 100% skill damage cap. But the unfortunate side of it is uplift, so we'll see how that tweaks our build. And I'll have a new build coming to you guys soon. So thank you very much for coming by. Much love. Hope you guys appreciated my hot drink. You know, in these cool weathered times in the middle of summer. You'd think I'd have a cool drink. But yeah, thank you for coming by. Love Granblue, love gallanza. I've really been enjoying Vayne and Soyafon. So Siete, I'm going to be coming up with a guide for him in the near future too. I've been learning, but I like to understand the characters before I make a guide. I don't want to just think I know the info or hear it from other people. I want to validate it because at the end of the day, you know what we say. It doesn't matter what we can say. It matters what we can prove. So I want to show that the gameplay can be consistent because my first few missions. But also it's good to know that like people fail and learn. And it's not like you just pick up, like if you ever picked up a character and you're like, wow, I suck. Some characters take time to learn, right? You have to get their combos down. And then you have other characters where you're just pressing one button for like 15 minutes. Cagliostro and Gandagoza, you guys have been requesting them. I do not have them unlocked. I maybe I'll set like a sub goal where I'll unlock and play them. I might enjoy them, but right now it's a meme that I keep them locked. But we have PAX West coming up soon, a couple weeks. Right after that, we're gonna have our partner anniversary on Twitch, and maybe we'll do something special for that. Right? I'm gonna be replaying through the Kingdom Hearts series, so we have Kingdom Hearts 4 finally announced for end of 2027, and I figured I love the series so much, but I don't exactly remember everything that happened. And since we have these core celestial sigils in Granblue, like Terra, Ventus, Aqua, and Lumen, I almost didn't stumble over. I stumbled once. I figured we'll break back into Kingdom Hearts and refresh our memory and get ready, right? Because I love that series. We also have a couple of other games coming out in the coming weeks. But yeah, that's all from me. That's all for Granblue today. I wanted to touch upon this in case you hadn't seen the news. They did. So this time, you know, when we had the bug with not saving on the ship, they didn't really say much to anybody. This time they tweeted this information out. They also put a note on Steam, and I don't know, maybe there's an update over on consoles as well. You'll have to let me know if you saw something on like PlayStation or on Xbox or the Switch or anything for news. But I definitely know that they've been more communicative here and they're working really hard. So I believe in Cygames. I think they're great. I love this game. Not going anywhere, and with this patch coming up, we'll have even more content to make for you guys. I'm gonna go back to working on Terminus Tank Vein. I'll see you guys soon. We have Percival coming, we have Siegfried coming, we have Vasaraga. Don't worry. And now on my radar, I did ding Mastery 54, almost 55 with Captain. So Substitute Captain, I'm gonna cover it as well. It's really popular. It's surprisingly strong, and I know y'all want to see it. I don't run like a damage parser or anything for that. I don't run like a damage meter for the game. So when people are asking me to compare runs, it's difficult for me to do. I just have to justify with data that you can replicate at home. So when I'm testing stuff on Sir Berold, or I'm showing things in a fixed situation against like the World True Solo, those are because I can control the environment, I can control the damage profile, and I could show a validating set of damage, right? And what you can expect for survivability and flexibility and how you're piloting the character. As far as damage meters go, I know people run them. I'm not running them. If you run them, you know, it's whatever. Just if you're asking me to show that kind of information, I can't. right? And I apologize. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's it for me. I'll catch you next time. Laters, Gators.